Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello students, once again I'm here with chapter number 10, Making of Indian Constitution. And in this chapter we are going to learn about what does the constitution means, significance of constitution, constituent assembly, composition of the constituent assembly, deliberations of the constituent assembly, procedures to be followed in decision making, sources of constitution and salient features of the constitution. Now what does constitution means? As I tell you in very simple words, a set of rules. Before I start the Indian Constitution, let me talk about a little bit about your school. Do we have a code of conduct? Code of conduct means a uniformity in rules. One and all for everyone. Right? That means a one set of rules and regulations which is common for all other citizens, one and all for everyone. And we celebrated 26 November Indian Constitution Day, but later on we implemented the same in 26 January 1950 and we always celebrate it as Republic Day. The Indian Constitution of India, that means IAST, Bharatiya Samvidhan, is the supreme law of India. So that means the Constitution means the supreme law. The document lays down the framework of the demarcates fundamental political code. It is the framework of political code. Structure, procedures, powers, duties of government, fundamental rights, duties, then directive principles, so that means whatsoever the work of the government as well as the rights and duties and directive principles of the citizens, it already mentioned in Constitution of India. Let's move to the definition of Constitution. It is of a state is that body of rules or laws written or unwritten which determine the organization of government, the distribution of powers to the various organs of the government, and the general principles on which these powers are to be exercised. That means the constitution could be written or unwritten document. But what does it mean? It gives us a set of rules and regulations which need to be followed at a same level by everyone. The Constitution of India, what is it written? We, the people of India. That means we. It shows the unity. That means we all are one. We, the people of India. That means we are the citizens of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens. Sovereign means we people are not ruled by any external power. Socialist means all communities are equal. Secular means all religions are equally treated here, no special status to anyone. Then the democratic, that means people have their own government. Republic means we all follow the constitution. And to secure all its citizens, we do have justice, that the supreme law. That means the court, the judiciary system, and social, economic and political liberty. That means we are free to follow our social background and we have all the opportunities for the employment to earn our bread and butter and to have a better living standards. We have political liberty also. That means we can vote even if we hold a political office. And we have the liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, and equal status. There is no discrimination on the basis of religion, caste, gender, religion, or any place of birth as well. And it promote among them the fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual. That means each citizen of India has his or her own identity. No one can harass that identity, no one can exploit it. And the unit and integrity of the nation in our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact, and give to ourselves these Constitution. The Constitution of India is supreme law. I have already told you, and it's a living document. So this is the first point. It is supreme law of India. Second is your living document. One more is, it is an instrument which makes the government system work. Then it was passed the Constituent Assembly on 26 November 1949. This is the time. And it came into effect on 26 January 1950. That means it was the implementation. This is the third point. This is fourth one. Fifth is, it has 395 articles, 22 parts, 12 schedules, and 94 amendments, and for a total 1,17,369 words. Now, according to James Brace, the constitution of a state or a nation consists of those of its rules or laws, which determine the form of the government and the representative rights and duties of the citizens and towards the government. That means the respective fundamental rights and duties in which the constitution has provided, or we can say it's been privileged by the constitution to the citizens, are written in the Constitution of India. And there are a few duties also of the citizens which are towards the nation, towards the government, that has to be followed. It is also mentioned in the Constitution. Now, what is the significance? That means, what is the importance of the Constitution? As in the beginning I told you that if we don't have a code of conduct in schools, then there is a time. Okay, let me give you an example. 8 a.m. the school starts and 2 p.m. it is a dispersal time, right? Who made this? The school management. Okay, this is an example. In case nobody knows, there is no rule of 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So what would happen then? A student is coming at 7:50. One student is coming at 7:55. One is coming at 8. One would be coming at 8:05. Few of would be absent if there is no absence policy. So what would happen if there is no policy or no guidelines for the students? They would adapt themselves in a free atmosphere. So that is why in a country also constitution is required, so that people can enjoy their liberty or freedom, but with some rules and regulations. So it is set of rules that create an orderly society. Obviously, as I told you, when the people would be free, they would take it very for granted. But in that case, it was too good to have a set of rules which are written in the constitution. It provides a mechanism for taking decision as to how can we create an orderly and a just society. That means then the things would be systematic. It would according to the rules. It would according to the laws. So what does it mean? Laws are exactly made for the justified society. And these decisions are found in the form of some basic rules which make sure that people work together properly. Then the constitution determines the form of government and the powers to be exercised by various organs. If I say forms of government are unitary and the federal, and the central or national government exercises the control of national or local affairs. And in India, there is no unitary government because we have federal form of government. We have divided our government into three parts like central, state, and local government, and each organ being supreme with its own sphere. They all have their own jurisdiction as well. The constitution limits the power of the rulers. Obviously, when a person is governing us and he has the authoritarian state of mind, so at that time what would happen? he would be overconfident, and he would use, sometimes it happens like they use their powers in a negative way also. They give the negative direction too. But when they know that there is a rule and regulation for them too, like it is one and all for everyone according to constitution. So there is no point that they would have some malpractices for their powers and to use their powers in a negative way. So what does it mean? The constitution limits their role also, and it enumerates the freedom of the people and enforces those freedoms against government, making sure government can encroach. The constitution sets out the basic objects and the ideals of the society as well. The values expressed in the preamble are sovereignty, socialism, secularism, democracy, republican, character, justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, human dignity, and the unity and the integrity of the nation. For example, social justice or a just society could be both an objective and a value. The constitution makes clear rights of the citizenship. Our constitution gives every citizen the right countries to list the rights of the citizens in the constitution itself, and these are examples of clear discrimination in one right to equality strives to make India a true democracy. Now, constitution reveals fundamental identity of the people. As I have told you, like people have fundamental rights also, and it gives an identity to the people. It means people as collective entity come into being only through the basic constitution. And this is done by agreeing to basic sets of norms and principles. That means rules and regulations. And it constitutes one's basic political identity, and the constitution also gives the moral identity as well. And constitution reveals fundamental identity to the people as collective entity, and through the basic constitution, this is first, this is second, and the constitutional norms are the overarching framework within the which one pursues individual aspiration, goals and freedoms. That means it gives a structure to individuals' aspirations, means desires, goals means aims, freedom means liberty. And many basic political and moral values are now shared across different constitutional traditions. Now, just constitution is one which promotes the ideals of peace, prosperity, justice and happiness, and equality of status and of opportunity to promote among them all by highlighting the principles and the fundamental values of the document, and equality as a notion of a happy life and which cannot be taken from each other. It also states that objectives of the Constitution of India, which are justice. So let's revise. Is Indian Constitution a living document? Yes, it is. And which article of the Constitution deals with amendments? Article 368. And who involved in the constitutional amendment? Parliament, state legislature, president. First of all, it goes to here, and then both of them get his consent. And if he objects, again it goes to the parliament. And which amendment was passed during emergency? 42nd. And which amendment added fundamental duties? 42nd Amendment Act. And in which year was the 73rd Amendment passed? 1992. Who moved the objective resolution in the Constitution Assembly? Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. And what are the different forms of justice mentioned in the preamble to the Constitution of India? Social, economic and political. And what is the nature of state according to the preamble? The nature of the state according to the preamble is sovereign, democratic, secular, socialist and republic. And the objectives of our constitution are embodied in the preamble are justice, that is social, political and economic, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, and equality of status and opportunity, and fraternity, assuring the dignity of individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. Justice means like people can go for their social, political and economic liberties are hurt, they can go to the Supreme Court for the justification or the judiciary system. And liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, that means you are free to express yourself in public meetings. You can follow any of the religion, you can follow any of the custom, you can follow any of the culture, and you can celebrate any of the festival as well. And the equality of status and opportunity means you are totally free to earn your bread and butter. That means for economic opportunities, you are not bound. You can have the opportunities, you can grab them according to your ability. And fraternity means individual identities are there and people can have integrity of the nation in the form of brotherhood.